Greetings from the Mosel. Thank you for joining us today. Today's topic is minerality, or the mineral character. Every time I put the word minerality into my cell phone or my computer, the thing tries to correct me because obviously the word minerality does not exist in English. It's more mineral character. So let's stick with that word. What's a mineral character? Lots of wine lovers and wine drinkers who come to the winery here in the Mosel ask me, what's about that word? What is it? And I then try to explain it by the analogy to a cocktail. You all know the Margarita cocktail. The Margarita cocktail has salt on the outside of the glass, on the rim of the glass. And you might wonder, why is this sweet and sour or fruity cocktail? Why does it need salt at all? Well, first time I had a margarita, I was wondering myself, and I had the first sip and I found out why. It's because the Margarita cocktail consists of two components. It's the acidity from the lemon juice or lime juice, and it is the sweetness from the grenadine or whatever you use to make the cocktail sweet. And when you just have these two components and you drink the wine, you drink the cocktail, you have a certain sweet and sour impression, and that's quite boring. It's fairly simple and odd, nothing special. But with the salt, the cocktail all of a sudden brings you into a new dimension. All of a sudden, the acidity does not taste sour anymore. The acidity starts to taste almost effervescent. It starts to dance on the palate. It starts to be electrifying. It is all of a sudden something that has many, many layers and which is very complex. And then also the sweetness that appears as first of all, a fruity impression on the palate. The sweetness does not finish off cloying sweet. Sometimes you drink something that is sweet and sour and you have the sweetness and you think, I like the fruit, but I'm afraid it could finish off really sticky and cloying. And then I wouldn't like the drink or the cocktail or the wine or whatever it is. But with the salt, the sweetness finishes off almost dry. It gets replaced by the saltiness, and the finish is almost savory. And when the sweetness disappears, it leaves nothing but the desire for the next sip. You really want to drink the cocktail. And it's the same with a good Mosel wine. In the Mosel, sometimes and traditionally, we tend to leave a little bit of natural residual sweetness in the wine. And this sweetness with the acidity and this salty impression from the minerals that we have in the wine, you get the same effect like in a margarita. You get that Margarita effect. Now, how do we get the saltiness into the wine? In the Mosel, we have mostly slate soil, different kinds of slate. Blue slate, which is fairly soft. We have gray slate, it's a harder kind of a soil. And then we have red slate with a particular iron content. And all these different slate varieties have one thing in common. They add a certain salinity, a certain salty character to the wine. You get the minerals from this soil really into the wine. And when you drink the wine, you have this whole new impression, which you do not get from a totally dry wine and not from a wine that grows on a different soil. Only Riesling grown on slate with a hint of natural residual sweetness creates this Margarita effect, being fruity and juicy with a certain sweetness in the front on one side, but also finishing off almost dry because of the salinity of the minerals in the finish. That's what I call mineral character in the wine, and I think that there are not many regions where you can experience this feeling, this taste, better than here in Mosel, Saar and Ruwer. Thanks again for joining us today. I hope I could tell you a little bit about my idea of minerality, and I hope you liked my explanation. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. Greetings from the Mosel. Bye-bye.